What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Realistic Career Mode. This is episode number 28, and we're starting today's episode off with yet another big bid for Eric Dyer, but unfortunately it's just not very realistic. Barcelona now want the former Spurs defender, and of course we turn it down. Now, again, it's not beyond the realms of possibility for him to want to go to an Inter or Juve, but just before we move on, I will say here's the draw for the Europa League group stage, where Everton have got... in Group F, Stuttgart, Salzburg, and Djurgårdens. And I've got to say, that's definitely a group we can get out of. It's not the easiest group, but it's definitely a group we can get out of, no doubt about that. So, yeah, pretty happy with that. I definitely think we should get out of that, and if we don't get out, that's a failure. Yep, to me, first year in Europe in the save, but I don't see why we can't get out of that group. Those are good teams there, don't get me wrong, but we should be able to get through that group in my opinion. But yeah, just for Eric Dyer, real briefly, as transfer deadline day comes around, I wouldn't say it's beyond the realms of possibility for him to sign for one of those clubs that have put the bids in, but realistically, I don't see it, as Napoli also put a bid in. Now, I would say really, the only foreign clubs I would probably sell him to are Sporting Lisbon, so he could go back home. Eric Dyer said before, he actually said on the High Performance podcast, great episode, well worth listening to, he said he feels as much Portuguese as he does English because of the fact he spent most of his childhood in Portugal playing in a Sporting Lisbon youth setup. So, Sporting Lisbon, yeah, I see that. Probably not Porto or Benfica because of his sporting ties, but even so, Sporting Lisbon or possibly Roma to link up under Jose Mourinho again. But I just don't see him going anywhere else. I really don't. So, Manchester City or Manchester United in particular who's been linked to, yes, definitely. But Barcelona? I just don't really see it if I'm being totally honest with you here. But anyway, you would have seen Jared Brandthwaite is going to go back out on loan to the Netherlands. Last year was out on loan at Brighton. Of course, before that, he was out on loan at PSV. So because he spent time in the Netherlands already, and he probably does now speak a little bit Dutch, I thought, why not send him back out there? So yep, he's going to go back out on loan to the Netherlands like he did with PSV. Now he's going to go to Ajax. There was a bid for Connor Cody from AC Milan. Again, realistically, just didn't really see that one. But I did decide to make a signing on deadline day, which some of you guys did recommend. And, I mean, I wasn't as sure about this one, but considering how Dele Alli has worked out, I thought, I'll go on then. I'll give him a go. Ross Barkley aiming to rejuvenate his career right now at Nice. And to be fair, he's doing a pretty decent job in France right now. And, I did see some comments, mainly at the start of the save from you guys saying, bring Barkley back. I mean, here's the reason why I've done it this season, right? Here's the reason why I've done it this season. Because we're in Europe. And Ross Barkley is an Everton Academy graduate. And you've heard me mention it a few times throughout the course of this save here. Because we're doing this save as realistically as we can, we want homegrown, trained at the club players, and Ross Barkley is one of those players. So that's the reason why I've decided to do it this season. It's partly for good squad depth, it's also because he's a homegrown player, and I love it when players go home, I really do, and go back to the place where it all began. We seem to see it happen a lot more nowadays. But yeah, Ross Barkley is back for a very small transfer fee. In the final year of his contract at Nice right now, he's 30 years old, we can get him for a cheap deal, and in modern day football, practically peanuts really, plus the weekly wage of 30 grand a week. He's won the Europa League before, he won the Europa League whilst he was at Chelsea. I believe he's won the FA Cup as well, so he's got winners experience, and that's really key for us after last year coming up short in the EFL Cup final to Manchester United, and he's got European experience as well, and of course many caps for the England national team as well. Ross Barkley is back at Everton, and listen, I don't know if it'll have as big as an impact as Dele Alli had for us last year, but I mean, listen, you guys called Dele Alli spot on, so I mean, why not Ross Barkley, right? So Barkley is back at Everton. Obviously, the way he left to Chelsea, Everton fans not too happy about that. But again, for homegrown rulings, and just before I move on, this is what I'm talking about here. The homegrown players, I would say right now, Robinson, Holgate, Davis, now Barkley, and also Ellis Sims as well. Now, we need a minimum of 4, so we've now got 5. If I'm missing anyone else that's 23 years or older, feel free to let me know, but I don't think I am. But yeah, those 5 players, definitely homegrown, trained by the club, Everton players. And again, I mean from the age of 23 and older, because if you're under 23, you can be registered. You don't need to be registered to play in European competitions, but Those 5 players are trained by the club, so that means now we've got enough players, well, enough players plus 1 for the squad registration rule. So for Barkley, that made total sense there. Not only we've got a decent squad player with European experience and winners experience, but also as well, we've got a player that's homegrown and trained by the club. And considering how Dele Alli did for me, I saw a few comments about Ross Barkley and I was thinking, oh, go on then. I mean, you guys call Dele Alli spot on, so hopefully Barkley will be even just half as good as Dele Alli was last year. Anyway, the other player we signed was Morgan Rogers. Interestingly enough, released by Bournemouth. Bournemouth back in the Premier League for this year, for this season here. Morgan Rogers, released by Bournemouth. Interesting indeed. Youngster, decent potential. But released by the Cherries, so I thought, okay, well, I might take a punt on him. Why not, right? So Morgan Rogers is in, again, just to add squad depth, really, after losing Damari Gray, and now Mavadidi's gone down for injury as well. That's not a bad option there on a free transfer for a young player. And for the first game of today's episode, on the back of transfer deadline day, taking on the Gunners away at the Emirates Stadium here, looking to extend our very impressive start after 2 games into the season. We got a draw on the opening day against West Ham, and a big win against Manchester City on match day 2. I would say my best win as Everton manager so far. Taking on the Gunners, heading into this game. We fell behind practically right from kickoff. Gabriel Jesus, the former Man City striker, making it 1-0. But I was so frustrated we were still down by a goal because I played well. I just couldn't take my chances. I've said that so many times throughout the course of this save, and I was saying it again. But just past the hour mark here, this is the moment we were waiting for. Welcome back, Romelu Lukaku. Absolutely buzzing to see the big Belgian finally get his first goal. It was poor on match day 1 against West Ham, and I dropped him for the Man City game. But for this game against the Gunners, I thought, okay, I'll bring him back into the starting 11. And Romelu Lukaku heads in the corner to make it 1-1. And I'll be totally honest here, I was disappointed I didn't win this game. We almost caught Ramsdale out late on as the former Blade got caught in no man's land. In the end, Hudson-Odoi couldn't keep his head down, but Romelu Lukaku in the end rescues a point, which means from our first 3 games, tough games as well. Away 2 times in London against West Ham and Arsenal, and at home to Man City, to pick up 5 points from 9, that's not bad, that. I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. Arsenal, last year, to be fair, did struggle a little bit. Of course, they did win the Europa League to qualify for a European competition again, despite the fact they finished outside the top 7. But I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. West Ham, good team, tough place to go away from home there. Get a point there, and at the Emirates Stadium as well. And to beat Man City 4-0, I'll have that for my first 3 games. That's a pretty decent start, in my opinion. And great to see Lukaku on the score sheet for the first time back at Everton as well, heading in that corner. And that's why I signed him. Physically strong, really, really tall, imposing player. He's going to score a lot of goals with his head this year. I already know that. And he almost scored again with his head. Yep, 28 minutes into the second and final game of today's episode here, taking on Wolverhampton Wanderers. Lukaku looking for his second goal in 2. Great save there, kept it at 0-0, but really went at Wolves in the opening stages. And 29 minutes in, Kefren Turan very closely to scoring his second goal for the club already. I dominated this game really in the first half. I was playing really well. Disappointed I hadn't found a breakthrough yet. And 63 minutes in, another golden chance, and this time I took it. They both went close in the first half, but in the second half linked up for the first goal. Man, oh man, oh man. Isn't it great when you spend big on players and they come up good straight away? I absolutely love that, man. And, you know, I said this before, he's one of my favourite players in FIFA because he can literally do anything, this guy. He can literally do anything. He's the perfect jack of all trades, box-to-box player. Defensively, solid, strong, decent defensive stats, and don't forget he's also 6'4", so he's really tall as well, with a high defensive work rate. But going forward as well, he can finish, he can strike, and he wasn't going to miss from there. Kefren, second goal already this season for my new club record signing, makes it 1-0, and then late on in this game, well, I'll be honest here, how I wasn't 2, 3, 4 goals up, I've got no idea. So I thought late on in the game, right, sod this, I've scored my goal, I'm in front, Wolves haven't really threatened me all game, I'll just take my time, and if I get a clear-cut chance, I'll do my best to wrap the game up, which we did. Who gets the goal? That man once again. Yes, oh yes, new club record signing, already looking like a bargain from Southampton. Yep, the former Nice and Saints midfielder, son of the legend Lillian, makes it 2, and it's Kefren bagging a brace 3 goals in 4 games for my new £45 million man. Great to see Lukaku get 2 assists as well. That's Lukaku right there, target man. You know, holding the ball up, playing players into play. You love to see it. Got both assists for both of Kefren's goals, 2 to the final score, and what a start for the Toffees. Yes, you might look at that and say, well, to be fair, only 2 wins in 4, but undefeated after 4 tough opening games to have 8 points for a possible 12, I'll definitely take that. But that will end today's episode of the Realistic CM, guys. So big thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you have, then please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you for next episode of the Realistic CM featuring our first game in Europe very soon.